let's introduce our panellists for this session. Digital writing panel. Unfortunately, Tim wasn't able to make it, but we do have with us Adam Lowe, who is a writer, performer and publisher from Manchester via Leeds. We've got Samira Salani, who's from all the way from London, who's a writer and journalist with focus on politics and development of East and Horn Africa. And we have Bethany Hermitt, who's a visual artist, writer and designer based in Manchester. And I will also be joining for this session. I'm Afshan D'souza-Lodhi, writer, performer, and a person who lives on Twitter. Yes. Hello.
Hello everybody. So I'm chairing the session today. So just got a little bit of a introduction to the session. So the digital age is upon us and publishing is changing fast. There's a large focus on digital outputs for creative writing. Has this impacted writing, and if so, to what extent? E-readers and phones are being used increasingly to access writing. Does this affect the writing process, the writing itself, and create new readers? So that's kind of what we're going to explore in this session today. I actually had quite an interesting taxi ride where I was discussing this with the taxi driver. He was talking to me about his 2-year-old and 4-year-old grandchildren who do actually use tablets already, and they've been using those and learning language off there, so I think that's quite an interesting thing. So I was going to start off by asking our panellists what they thought about how digital technologies are helping writing evolve or change, because I guess that they are, I think we can all say that they are evolving because of digital technology. I'll start with Samira. Do you want to?
Gosh, well, I'm going to have to now. Wow. You know, when I got the email about this discussion and I really thought about it, the first thing that came to mind for me was BuzzFeed and that kind of quick, listy, short thing that everyone seems to love reading while on the tube to work or anything. And I thought in many ways, as a writer, it kind of has, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but depending on what side of the fence you sit on, but to have those quick snippets of information rather than typing up some long article, definitely I think that's one of those things. And there's a magazine in the States called Harper's, and they publish a lot of essays, and I remember the founder of there giving a lecture saying that it really, really disturbed him how prose and poetry has been translated into content and just being put out there in platforms like BuzzFeed. But I definitely, for me, I think, be it good or bad, the digital age in terms of writing has meant that we can get away with shorter sentences, using the, for instead of for, and BFFs and all the abbreviations and everything. Yeah, I think that's what I kind of see it as.
And Bethany, what did you?
I think there's a definite kind of change that's gone on. But whether or not it's a bad thing, I kind of view it in an optimistic way, as if like writing's been opened out. There are different forms that we can writing now, so it's kind of like what people are writing for. I agree with you about things like BuzzFeed and quick snippets of information just being readily available. But at the same time, so I also come from a design background and things like programming and coding and things like that. The children do learn that in school now. It's like it's important to learn any sort of language, but that in itself rips open, I think, what writing can then be. Like creative writing definitely. In terms of, say for example, when the Kindle came out, I was horrified, but at the same time kind of intrigued. I was like, do I get one or do I not? And then I ended up getting one this year. And I kept thinking there's so much more that we could have done with it. Like, why did it have to replicate a book almost? So I think technology is definitely advances, but whether or not we as creative writers are going to keep up with the technology itself is another interesting question for me.
Yeah, I think e-books are an interesting topic, and I think we'll definitely go into e-books shortly, so we can have a whole discussion around those, because there are sort of enhanced e-books where you can play music and they've got pictures that pop out of them and things like that, and I think that does change the writing experience. I was going to also pick on Afshan. I was going to embarrass you a little bit because I know you used to do fan fiction online, and I was just going to ask you about your thoughts on digital technology and how that might change writing.
I don't know. I have two views on that. One is that yeah, it's brilliant. A lot more people are writing. There's a lot more work being published. And on the flip of that, I kind of, and this is from a publisher's standpoint. This is what people are telling me rather than it's only my opinion. That the quality of writing is reduced because of the increase in digital. And we take fan fiction as an example. When I was on fan fiction, it was many few years ago, and I was only on there for a short period of time. There were a lot of people that were writing, but it tended to be what I believed was quite good writing. So from there, a lot of writers went on to be published. They had novels, and 50 Shades of Grey was started off as fan fiction for Twilight. So the people have kind of done quite well with them. And then I went on it quite recently for research, obviously, and the quality seemed to have gone down in that there was less focus on characterization, there was less focus on narrative. People weren't too bothered. It was more of a blog posty style. Let me just play with two characters and see where it's going. And maybe that's the art of it, that it is just you playing around with characters rather than having a strict form or adhering to all the grammar rules and stuff. But I get really annoyed when people like grammatically wrong sentences when I'm trying to enjoy a story, and it's like no.
Do you think that's potentially because of the rising profile of fan fiction and the popularity that has meant that now more people are aware of it, so everybody's just thinking, oh, I want to do that, and maybe I'll get this book and get a book.
I think it's the rising profile of digital writing in general. Everyone, hands up if you've got an e-reader or a phone or a tablet that you read on. Okay, quite a lot of you. Hands up if you still, keep your hands up. Hands up if you still buy books. Okay. So you see, it's not changing in that respect. We're still kind of going for physical books, but why is that? Why have we not just changed? And I think, because digital is increasing, you've got a lot of people writing, so people are now saying Twitter chat is a thing. Yeah. Facebook posts are a thing now as well. I don't know if you guys have opinions on Insta poetry and Twitter and stuff.
I think it's amazing, again, that I'm on this panel, because I'm actually a little bit of literally a hermit when it comes to it as well. It's kind of, it's good to put yourself out there, but I kind of find writing something I like to share with others, to get people's opinions sometimes, or something I'm doing just constantly. And then there's this whole other side when the community is massive and it's really good to interact with so many other people. Things like Insta, I like that when I see other people's stuff, and I'm not myself. Yeah, I'm a lurker sometimes. I lurk on the social media side, so I think they're good as well.
I think for me, considering I do read a lot of poetry, it's a good thing because also it gives people that may not get the opportunity to get their work published, to get their stuff out there. A lot of the poets that I've reviewed have come through the internet, like that's where they started on Tumblr and stuff. So I think it's a good thing in terms of giving people opportunities. But I do agree, I don't do much fan fiction, but what I have seen of it is, some of it is quite taxing to read, and you're like, okay, but hey man, okay.
I think there's definitely been a kind of a democratisation of the kind of the means of production, as it were, for writing. So I think things like Twitter and Facebook and blogs, they mean that everybody can potentially have an audience, but what you find is that because there's so many voices out there, that actually they drown each other out, so it actually becomes much harder to find quality. And I think perhaps maybe that's one of the reasons why people are returning back to print books again. Going briefly back to ebooks, one of the interesting things was that everybody was raving about this ebook revolution and how everyone was going to stop printing books. And to be fair, I was always quite cynical, and I thought, how much of this is actually just the Amazon publicity machine? Because they don't have to tell people, how many sales are actually making. Yeah, they might be selling 20 million books, but is that 20 million books from 20 million authors, in which case they're selling one book per author, or is it that there's only 10 people that are selling 2 million each? And there's not that transparency there. So I think a lot of that was to do with PR, and what we're finding is that it's kind of evened off. As people have bought e-readers, everybody's kind of got one now, or everybody who wanted one has kind of got one. And people are actually going back to buying print again, which suggests that they're only really using the e-book for certain things, like if they don't want to carry 50 books with them on holiday, then they can just put them on their e-reader and do it that way. but I think a lot of people still prefer to read print, and I think part of that is because we've democratised everything so much, or that's in theory what we've done, but we've actually created so much sound, so much noise, that people are actually returning back to the gatekeepers to try and find some measure of quality control, because actually that can be quite difficult. It can be difficult to find really, really, really good stuff without somebody signposting you, and I think people still rely on good reviews and a publisher that they respect or friends' recommendations in order to find things. Ash, what do you think?
There's definitely a price difference though between ebooks and physical books. I don't know if anyone else has found this, but I recently found an ebook for 20 quid, and I was like, I'm not paying £20 for an ebook. It just feels wrong. I'm not. There's no paper. Where's the printing? You know, at least £20 for a printed hardback is like, okay, it costs, you know, to get the pages out. I don't know. Would you pay £20 for an ebook?
Speaking as a publisher, I would say that an ebook should really cost the same as the print book minus the print costs, and the print cost is only a fifth of the actual cover price. So for a £20 book, then you expect it to be 16 quid as an ebook, because otherwise you're massively reducing your overheads if you're devaluing literature. That's what I would argue, but I would say that because there's so many ebooks out there, there's been this kind of problem of free ebooks or 99p ebooks from self-published authors, usually on Amazon. And there's such a glut of these books that we now don't value ebooks. So ebooks, everybody expects them to be free, and also I think that sometimes that's part of the problem of digital products, is that as a culture, as a society, we don't value digital. We just think we should have it for free because it's not a tangible thing that you can own and you can possess in your hand. So people think, I'm just going to rip that MP3 from my favourite, band. They don't think twice about paying for it, but then they wouldn't steal a CD. And I think we've got this weird way that we don't value stuff that's digital, whereas we do value stuff that's print. And maybe that's why publishers are starting to think, well, we don't want to give away all of our books for free in order to compete in ebooks. Maybe we should go back to focusing on print books. And I know some publishers have gone the other way, so they're really making their books really gorgeous and really big and really thick and expensive. And I just published a book that was 20 quid, but the book was like this big and it's really, really fat and it's an absolutely gorgeous work of art. So I'm really proud of it, and I'm like, well, that's what it's got to cost. And people are like, oh, but don't you think that's too expensive? I'm like, nope, because it costs £4 to print, and actually when you've gone through the whole distribution network and you've got 30% going to distributors and 40% going to the bookshop, then what's left for me and the author? You know, you've got to charge a decent price.
Can I pick up on two things you said?
Yeah.
One was devaluing of literature, and the other is literature being a work of art.
Yeah.
Can you just expand on that? On literature being a work of art?
Well, I don't think literature always has to be a work of art. I think we can write for lots of different reasons. And sometimes entertainment is enough, although sometimes popular entertainment is still art, depending on people. But I don't think you necessarily have to go into anything with artistic pretensions, and you might just decide, well, I'm just going to write just because I want to write. But I think that we should respect the craft of writing, just because it is something that takes time to do well and to learn how to do. And writers have never earned a particularly high amount of money anyway from what they do. And I think there's a danger of, if we devalue literature and just give it away for free, then it's even harder for us to get paid as artists. And then that means that the only people who will be writing, people who are independently wealthy, or, you know, that's why people like Rupert Murdoch own like massive big publishing empires, because the sort of rich white men who can afford to have a publishing company as a hobby can afford to do that, because it doesn't matter that it doesn't make any money. They can do it as a hobby if they want to. That's kind of what I think. What was it that you saw with?
It was about it should be a work of art and different from. I guess it's sort of related, aren't they? About devaluing literature, and it should be a work of art.
Yeah,
so
and it is work, you know. And I think from a perspective of wanting to get paid and wanting to be able to eat, if we don't value literature and we don't value stories, and we just assume that because people enjoy writing, that it should somehow be free, which don't do it for their love, then writing's never going to get paid, and then it would mean perversely that actually only the people who do it as a hobby who don't really spend any time at their craft would be able to continue to do it, rather than people who want to focus on it for real as a job.
I still think like the digital industry is weighted against PME, because you have weighted against non-English or non-European languages. So if you want to publish an ebook that's not in English, it's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got experience, but we tried publishing one in Farsi. I don't know if Shahir is there. We tried putting it on Amazon, and they were like, "We can't because it's not in Chinese, or it's not in English, or in the European languages." And well, how do we do that? And printing seems easier because I don't know, you just need a different printing press. I'm guessing. I don't really know how printing presses work, but I don't know. I feel like it's something that we need to talk about, or it's something that, as an industry, we need to talk about how we kind of value English more, even when it comes to digital. Actually, more so when it comes to digital. I don't know if you've got any experience with that, Samira.
Well, I do the social media for Writers of Colour. You may have not heard of them. And when we've had discussions, or we've read articles, or had our writers write pieces about translation and non-English texts, I just don't think they're valued. I just, when you were talking about the printing press, I think once upon a time that would have been difficult to have a book published in this country in another language. But I think it's a huge issue. I think across the board in publishing, the BME thing is still a problem. But I'm in fact now thinking about it. I don't own a Kindle and all that jazz. I need a book in my hand, but my sister does, and I've never seen non-English books on there. It's never even crossed my mind that there would be, because it's just not the thing really, is it?
But then on the flip of that, you've got like British writers like JJ, Sienna. I don't know if anyone knows Sienna Bambara, but she released her debut collection, Elephant, was it a couple of months ago? It wasn't that long ago. And she became Amazon's bestseller in the women's poetry section, which is amazing. She self-published that and said, screw you to the publishing industry.
But I would also say she's done a lot of self-promotion on Twitter. Like, she really gave it her all to get that stuff out there. I know in that show Scandal, there's something about you have to work 5 times harder than your average, white writer. And Sienna was like on Twitter 24/7 pushing that. And I think it's a beautiful piece of work, beautiful, but I do think that played a part.
So moving away from this whole like publisher does the marketing and the person, I don't know, you work at People's Tree as well, and you are we moving away from like the actual author, and really too the author having to market themselves?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think authors are being called upon to market themselves, and one of the things I look for as a publisher is the writer going to be willing to join in on that process, because a lot of writers just think that they can write a book and then sit at home and do nothing. But those are the authors whose books sell 0 copies. Like literally they will sell 0 copies. The last book that I just published, the one that I mentioned, that was 20 quid. She sold 300 copies before the book had even been published, because she just went and did like book readings everywhere. And actually for a small press, that can be, your annual sales might only total 300. Like that's 300, 400 is actually a good number of sales for a small press. And she'd done that before the book had even come out, because she was willing to go and do readings everywhere. She's done about 7 or 8 readings already now. We've reprinted the book 4 times. So that goes, and then I've got other authors whose books might be 1,000,000 times better, but they won't do anything. And some of them will do stuff on Twitter, but actually it's too easy to ignore just Twitter. There's that many authors on there promoting themselves on Twitter. It's really easy to just kind of think, oh, I can't listen to that. There's no filter. So the authors that don't do actual in-person promotion of themselves and don't appear at events and don't speak and don't do readings, you do notice a massive big difference in book sales. And I think that there are people who sell really, really well on Amazon as self-published writers who just use Twitter. But they're notable because they are the exception. So for every 5,000 writers who are self-publishing their book, or well, probably even 50,000 who are self-publishing their books on Amazon, you might get one who kind of does all right out of it. Because the majority of people, I mean, I crunched a load of the numbers in a blog post I did recently about how much authors earn. The majority of self-published authors are earning less than £100 a year from their self-published books, which is nothing, So So they're not selling copies in huge quantities. And it's just that Amazon and the press latch on the ones who do, because it is such an outrageously exciting thing, but it's not commonplace by any means. And going back to the thing of Sienna spending loads of time on Twitter, that means you can't have a day job, you can't have children, you can't actually write any more, you can't write any more books because you've got to spend your whole day on Twitter promoting yourself. And you've also got to know how Twitter works, because it's not just enough to say, buy my book, 99p, buy my book, because people really quickly switch off to that. You need to think about it in a targeted way, and that becomes a job in itself. And how many writers actually want to be publicists? That's what I think. I think asking a writer to do a reading or to appear at things and to engage in the marketing with a publisher is very different to saying you've got to go on Twitter and sell 1,000 copies of your book all on your own, which is what self-published writers have to do.
Well, Sienna did a lot of readings as well, but to me it did look like so much of it was her doing it kind of on her own with the network that support her. And I mean, I don't know, Bethany, what you think is, but a lot of writers can be quite introverted, and I don't know how comfortable they are being out there having to do readings and everything. I have a friend who's a Nigerian author, and he hates it. He's like, oh, if I could run away from this hustle, I just want to sit somewhere and write. I don't want to have to do all this, but in order for the books to sell.
Yeah, you've got to. It's like pushing yourself out of comfort zones and just do the tasks that it requires really to get your work out there. Because I also freelance as an illustrator as well. Basically, I freelance. It's like going out and trying to find work and waiting for people to get in touch. But it's like you've got to be very proactive with it. And it's that comes with, you can't just be a writer on your own in an isolated way, because you don't get people to read your work. But being introverted shouldn't shut you off from this either. Like you said before, it's very noisy online. I think that's what, it's just very noisy. And I prefer to go to the things that I've already chosen to go to, or things that are being recommended, or...
That's it. You don't just look on Twitter thinking, what shall I do with my life today? See what's been pouring out and think, oh, I'll do all of those 100 things and be quiet at it.
You've got to have some self-control, otherwise I would do that as well. So it's like you've got to just kind of pick out where I'm going and what's going on. Because you can lose your day, that's what I mean, you don't do the actual work that's required. So it takes a lot of balancing.
And people always think that I'm really active on social media, but I'm a lot less active than I used to be, because I just think if I'm spending all my time on social media, outside of my job, then when am I going to have time to do it? So actually the only times I am on social media now is when I'm doing it for my job, when I've got specific days for people to refresh and I need to do their social media stuff, and that's when I go on, and then people will notice that I'm not on there for the rest of the week. Because that's the only way really you can have a life, is to sometimes pull out of all of that. I think you can draw away from it.
How many people here have a Twitter account? Oh wow, you should have followers.
Follow up.
I'll find you all. How many of you have a Facebook account? And how many of you are writers that have a Facebook and Twitter account and use it to publicise your work? Interesting. Okay. So, sorry, just wanted to find out. I completely get that whole, you have to be a writer and a publicist at the same time. And sometimes it's really difficult trying to push writers, and when I've worked for smaller presses and done stuff, it's like, just go and do the reading, just go, and they're like, yeah, but I just want to turn up and people, like, expect there to be 100 people there. It's like, that's not how it works. You can't just turn up to an event and there'll be like people queuing for your book if you've done, if you're not engaged with them. You have to tell your friends, you have to tell your families, you have to not give your books away for free to the people that you met down the street,
Yeah. and there is a thing, I'll come to you in a second, there is a thing of, yes, we might not want to go out into the world and do these readings, but every author has to also expect that you might go to book reading when no one turns up. And that is the scariest thing in the world, but it happens to every single writer at one point in their life. And you just have to do that as a
One of the
baptism of
best
fire.
things is doing a reading when there's only 5 people in the room.
Yeah.
Because you can really engage with them, and you know that those 5 people will definitely buy your book because they feel sorry for you.
But they'll also go away and talk
Yeah,
about
they'll tell their
it.
friends as well. And their friends will be like, oh, you're one of 5, let's find out whose book it was. And that is, like, publicity is good publicity. So don't shy away from it. Those 5 people, one of them might be a billionaire who will fund your next project. And if he does, then you need to get him in touch with me. So
it was kind of what you were saying before. We were talking about people having Twitter accounts like in the room. But do you think that digital writing allows people, like writers, to kind of develop, I think especially with things like Tumblr, to develop a kind of, I hate this word, but like brand around them for people to buy into. Like the first person I can think of is, even though her writing is what speaks mostly, is Ruby Core. Her Tumblr, yeah, it just, whenever I think of Ruby Core, I think of the photos she puts on Tumblr, the images she puts with her writing. And I think a lot of the attraction for people like Ruby is the brand that she's developed around her writing, and I think that's part of her success. Like she has a book out, Milk and Honey. But
the same, not just with Ruby, but to use this example again, 50 Shades of Grey. She started off as fan fiction, she built her brand on there. People were so excited to get the next bit out that they were emailing her, asking her, commenting, please get the next bit out, please get the next bit out. So when she published it as a book, of course there were like millions of people that wanted to read it, because she had people already on fan fiction. Ruby Core funded her book, right, through her Tumblr stuff and through fans. That's how you do it. You've got to build a brand image. And we're not just writers anymore. We're, this whole publicist, this product that needs to be sold. I don't know. I feel like we're moving away from that whole idea of literature being this. Maybe it's a good thing, this sacred sort of,
I was going to say I quite like it. I think it's not the sense that it removes anything from literature at all, but it makes, well, this is my own opinion, but it kind of makes you more adaptable, and it makes you like take on different skill sets, and it just makes you able to take the challenges that come. So it's almost like, I have got to step up here, but I find it it's challenging, it's not easy, but it makes the whole writing experience worth grafting for. I don't know, it's shouldn't be supporting the struggle really, but it's kind of like...
You're a writer as well though, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, how do you...
But my writing tends to be, like, I do poetry and story scripts, like graphic novels and different forms of writing really. But in terms of like putting that out there, at the moment I'm concentrating on design and comics, and the writing falls into it. And because we do like bookmaking or magazines, the graphics and stuff, so we're doing DIY printmaking at the moment, and we're just pushing collectives of writing out there for people to purchase and to buy. But instead of like waiting for something to happen, it's just let's do it. We've got all the equipment, let's go. But that has taken a while to do. So, I mean, it might seem like I'm just on the ball now, but that's been a build-up. To accepting that I've got to skill up in different areas, and then you're able to just be kind of independent, welcoming other people to help you as well, but knowing that,
the multi-skilling is something that I definitely hear. What's the question here?
I was just, it's for you, Adam, really, but others are welcome to chip in as well if they've got a different perspective. Obviously, you know about the self-promotion thing. One question I did want to ask is, how do you strike that balance between being, the creative process and actually getting yourself out there if you've got other commitments as well?
And that is the hard thing. I mean, there are lots of cheats that you can do. So you can, for example, connect your Twitter and your Facebook and your blog together so that when you post on one, it posts on all the others, which is the first thing I tell everybody to do, because it means that you're reaching more people in multiple ways. But I think you should try and be a little bit creative with it. So as Alex was saying, the idea of building up a brand, so using images that might tell people something about you as a writer or you as an artist. Putting those on a Tumblr page, for example, would give people a good idea of what you're doing. You could actually use it in the creative process itself, but it needs to feel like something that's not so much a chore. It needs to be something that you want to do, I guess. And not everybody's good at doing that. And if you're not good at doing that, then I would say it is a valuable skill to do, but I wouldn't say kill yourself by spending 4 hours every day on Twitter and Facebook, because if you don't know what you're doing, that can also cause more harm than good. I think it needs to stem from what you're naturally doing and the conversations that you might have with your audience. And I think just constantly telling people, here's my book, buy it for this price, that's not the kind of stuff you should be doing. Rather, it should be things like, I read this interesting thing on the internet, and this is what I think about it as a writer, what do you think about it? And engaging with people in conversations, rather than speaking at people, speaking with people.
One of the best
we are social creatures anyway, so that's easier to do, I think.
One of the best things that I've found in the past couple of years is Hootsuite and TweetDeck. If you're a writer and you're struggling with working in kids and everything that life is, then I suggest getting that, because it's one of the things that it's a bit more. I guess it's difficult because you can't really put everything on there. because like Adam says, it's about engaging with people, not just sort of talking at them. But in terms of like important key things that you remember, so you've got some sort of content coming out at least once a day or 3 times a day. And there's a statistic that Pete, my boss at Cultureword, who always tells me is you need to tell people at least 3 times about an event on social media for them to actually even think, remember that there's an event going on. So that's 3 times that you've got to try and get through different forms of social media. So it might be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest. I don't know if you could do something else, but there's various different things.
And also, it's interesting that people don't always engage with the things about your actual work. One of our most popular tweets this week at People Tree, I'll come to some of the questions in a minute, was we accidentally got a phone call from DPD saying, we've got some frozen horse semen, when did you want us to deliver it? And we tweeted that, and then that went all over the internet. Whereas actually you post about a new book that's come out, and you might not get anybody responding to it. So sometimes those unusual things that give a bit of personality or that have a bit of humour to them can actually be the things that people leap on. So it's not always about selling yourself directly, but it's about creating awareness of who you are and reminding people that you are there. So I'll go here to Christine.
Yeah, I just want to touch again on, you're speaking about Ruby Call, who her journey was amazing because obviously, she was a Instagram poet and then picked up by publishers, etc. And it's been really good. But in terms of how seriously are we actually, when I say we, I mean in terms of people of colour, so people like Ruby Call, people like Sienna Bangura, who put so much into their work, but how seriously are we taken in terms of like the literature world at large? I mean, when you read some of the reviews on, the sort of Guardian sort of sites, etc., it's all the same kind of, these are just Instagram poets and they're just vlogging, etc. It's not taken as a raw form of literature. So how do we bridge that gap and how do we get to that point where we're like, well, this is actually a new form of writing, or this is something new and it's actually should be taken very seriously, particularly because of the subjects that's in their writing.
I think it goes back to writing, right? What is your reason for writing? If your reason for writing is you want to be, some millions and millions, then maybe you need to rethink the whole idea because it might not work. It probably won't work. But if you're writing for the sake of getting your work out there, then does it really matter what the people at Guardian and stuff think of it? I know it does matter because we all want a brilliant Guardian review, but at the same time, does it really matter if a white guy writing an article who's probably in his 60s is reading your work by a young author who's a person of colour and probably queer as well? Does it really matter?
It does, and I think we do need to be taken seriously.
No, absolutely.
How do we get to that stage? How do we get from she sold 20 million on Amazon, that means nothing, to she might be up for a forward price, or she might be up for a MacBook, etc. How do we sort of bridge that? How does digital allow us to get to that stage?
When I first discovered Afshan D'souza-Lodhi, she'd just been named Young Poet Laureate for London, and I found her poetry online on Tumblr, I think it was, and I remember going to Waterstones throughout the time that she was Young Poet Laureate for London, and I would go around to 5 bazillion Waterstones saying, do you have a copy of this book? Not one had it in the store. Daunt's, Waterstone, you name the bookshop, I've never seen that book. Young Poet Laureate for London? Like, come on. And I really do think that for 2 reasons. 1, she's a person of colour, and 2, because she came off the internet. Like that, and we may all now be celebrating her because of Lemonade and everything. I'm still looking for that book in the bookshops.
Yeah, and her publishers wrote a response because after that happened with Lemonade,
everyone wanted a copy.
Bookshops wanted a copy, and they were like, we sent you copies. We sent you copies when it first happened, and now this is why we like, how do we get taken seriously with that being picked up by Beyonce?
So I have a question over here as well.
I think Christine's making it very quiet, trying to just expand on it. This lady in ST just spoke something very powerful in my ear. It said, well, most books don't have many poetry books to begin with. Most bookstores don't have many poetry books to begin with. I've just been trying to research various things and trying to get it. I'm trying to avoid Amazon at times, but trying to avoid Amazon is almost becoming down impossible. So I'm going back to sort of libraries, and because I've got university access, university can do into library. So I'm trying to get creative. But a couple of things, I'm a professional in technology, and a couple of things come to mind. One is, who is there, or has anybody thought about how there could be an alternative book selling process, perhaps with a number of small presses coming together? So could we actually build a platform that can support that? Because ultimately, what Amazon does is they provide a platform for books.
There is already that alternative.
There is already that alternative, but perhaps how to get it to critical mass. So beyond people like us who are in this room talking about writing all day, the ordinary people have some information about it. And the second point I want to raise was about one of the I've met here today about if you're not already published and you don't have a vehicle to how to get forward, you put things out because nothing's happening, put things out on Facebook. If you want to actually get some traction with a script, where do you go? What do you do? What's your first thing?
For me, it's self-publishing. I'm a theatre maker in what I do as my write plays. But my instinct is if no one's putting my work out there, then I do it myself. I'm not waiting around for people. I think the change that we're seeing at the moment, and I don't know if it's going to last, is that people are doing it themselves. People like Sienna, who I realise she might be, one out of how many who's done really well, with the exception.
Yeah.
But the people are out there doing it themselves. And there's another person in the room, Olivia, you self-published as well, didn't you? Sorry to be with you.
I did self-publish. The thing about myself, I was sort of forced into it unexpectedly because I was working for the Vine Project, which is an international global charity, and I did the poetry for them. People, when I used to go and perform for the Vine Project, they were saying to me, "What do you do?" So I said, "Oh, well, I'm a poet." So, "Well, let's hear one of your poets." And people just kept saying to me, where can we buy your work, and how can we get it?" And already in like just a month or two, I've made quite a bit of money with friends, but it's really just taking opportunities wherever you are. Like your local church, people in the church, they're talking at a coffee break. Just bring up, I'm a writer, and then let them say, well, what kind of a writer? Everywhere you go, there's always a chance that somebody will want your work. On the tram station, on the tram you're sitting next to somebody, and I sold them one of the Vine Project's cards. And I didn't even know them. I was just saying, I'm doing this thing for AIDS and for children. And I always, even in my bag today, I have the cards of the Vine Project.
This is what you should be doing.
And I have my and I just talk to people when I'm out and about, and I say, oh, it's the charity, it's £5. And all the money goes to the charity. So you've got to sell yourself. But just look at little opportunities that you don't expect in just places you wouldn't think of. Everybody in the country, in the world, is a potential buyer. Everybody. So the coffee you pick up, oh hello, the person say hello to the street if they've got time to know. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm doing this and doing that. Connect them to something that you're writing about, and hopefully they'll talk about it.
Just go back to an earlier point that you said about poetry being a...
We've got a couple of questions over here as well, so...
Okay.
Alright, so there's a gentleman over here, you had a question,
yeah, I kind of have a point and a question. So, one, I think, so I'm from Scotland, so I get a bit different to England. We're only 4% Black, Asian, ethnic minority in the whole of Scotland. So it's a lot harder for us to grow our networks, but I think one of the main things when it comes to publishing and that is growing your networks. I found that in my performance work that it's all well talking to your friends and family, but you should also talk to people like this. Hence why I'm glad I came last night from Glasgow, because we don't get this in Scotland. So when they contacted me, I was like, this is something new for me and it's something I can take back. So I think it's always about growing your network. But my question is, so I'm at drama school in Scotland and there's 15 Black, Asian, ethnic minority students out of 12 classes. So that's 300 students. We all have an issue with getting our plays published and getting our performances out there. It comes down to money at the end of the day. What would you say for students that are from Black, Asian backgrounds that want to publish their work but don't exactly have the funds to do that? What advice would you give to that?
There's a few things. One is crowdfunding. So crowdfunding sites like Indiegogo, Kickstarter, that sort of stuff. That's how we crowdfund us with this conference with that, because we're funded by the Arts Council, which is my second point. But we don't get a lot to do conferences and stuff like that. And there's other things that we want to do, like have pretty bags and cupcakes and tea and coffee and whatnot. So we crowdfunded for that, which is what some people are taking to, especially when it comes to publishing books. The Unbound model, which is people donate money and they get a free copy of the book at the end, which is The Good Immigrant, which is now you're seeing everywhere, which is amazing, absolutely amazing thing that Kasha has done. but it started off from a crowdfunding idea. My second point was Arts Council funding. So we are funded by the Arts Council. Grants for the Arts exist. I don't know how it works in Scotland. I'm guessing you have some sort of arts sort of base.
Create Scotland.
Yeah, we have Create Scotland, but
and they do have.
They're not responsive. So I ran a conference on diversity. The first time ever in Scotland, and BT had meetings with them, and in the end they said they'd give us £1,000, and 3 weeks before the event there was no communication, blank emails. So we were the ones out of our own pockets using our own money for a conference for students across Scotland. So they're not as effective, I feel, as what you guys are making, but then again, they might not be effective. So I don't know what your guys are like here, but in Scotland they're not as effective as they are.
Just to give you some history about how this conference started, it started off as a conversation with a group of people in the room. So it was a group in Manchester, 12 people, a group in Sheffield, and then we just got together and had a conversation, and that was it. And that's how the conference began. And then it was, before Twitter and Facebook, there was just a thread of hundreds and hundreds of emails going backwards and forwards of things people want to talk about, like crime fiction, or how do we use Twitter, what is Facebook, or what is, well, that wasn't Facebook, but how do we sell stuff online, it's the .com
This
boom.
I think was really interesting, and goes back to the point I was made earlier about things like apps or different ways of writing, like building platforms. Like there needs to be more like hearing people in the digital industry, full stop. Like it was such a shock just being the only like queer woman, black woman in the space, and I was just like, oh my god. But then that was kind of like, this is interesting as well, like learn as much as possible, bring it back to the arts, that sort of information, which I think is really helpful in terms of, if you imagine building an app that would, I mean it probably exists, but I won't go there, but I think it's just very interesting, that side of it as well.
I mean, returning to your point again, I think there is, it goes back to the multi-skilling thing. Unfortunately, you have to sometimes learn this other skill of raising money, which is in itself a distraction from the writing. But what I would suggest is there are organisations that do work specifically with black writers and black theatre makers. So there's people like Tamasha, people like Commonwealth, people like People True Press who are upstairs. So what I would try and do is try and feed into those networks. So again, it is important if you can find other organisations that already have their own money, because it means you don't necessarily have to learn that other skill of how to get the money yourself. And it's easier if you go to somewhere like Commonwealth where they've already got a little bit of money and you say, can you guys help me, or can you point me in the right direction? So I think it is valuable to have things like this, because we can all come together, and instead of everybody having to do the groundwork all over again every single time, if we all link in together and all help each other, then that makes it easier for everybody involved to kind of find those things, I think. And we've got a question at the back as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about how digital media and social media is affecting change for writers in terms of accessibility and for writers itself. I was wondering whether any of you guys felt like it's sort of changing the audience as well.
Yes, I think it is changing the audience.
It means that something I write here could be read in India. So what I write on Facebook and Twitter is sometimes retweeted by people in different countries when it is retweeted. So you've got a reach now.
But also different people are reading. So going back to the taxi driver that I had this morning, and he was talking about his grandchildren who were 2 and 4 using the tablet. They were reading things on there, and the 4-year-old was teaching the 2-year-old her keywords and things. I think because apps and technology mean that we can make the reading experience, we can change the reading experience so that it's not just looking at a page and reading. That can be really, that can have a huge impact for people, for example, who might not be able to read traditionally, or who are not interested in reading traditionally. And so it means that you're bringing in people who engage with text in different ways. So some of the enhanced ebooks have, as I say, music coming out of them, pictures and things, and that's a different experience to just looking at a page and reading blankly. So I think that would attract different people who maybe are more interested in games or visual things, rather than people who are...
It just widens the scope.
It does, yeah, it widens the scope.
This is just a suggestion. There is artsjobs.co.uk, which is actually, it's supported by the Arts Council in England, but you don't have to be in England to look at it or use it, because loads of people just advertise things that are, you can select like paid or unpaid. So sometimes it's publishing opportunity, sometimes it's theatres looking for writers, sometimes it's actual paid jobs. But it's really, really useful because it's so, I mean, it's a bit unwieldy because you get loads of stuff, but you can go just look in Yorkshire, just look in Midlands, just look in, so you can look at all of it by literature or theatre or something, or you can look at it by sort of region. And I think it's just a tool
And there are other listings, places where you can go and you can find funding. You do have to sometimes do some digging, but actually there are.
People are more likely to fund something that looks successful. So if you're looking for money and you're looking for funding for a particular group, for example, try and get people to just meet naturally and meet. And you know, if it's 12 people in a back room, in someone's living room, or in a coffee shop, try and get them to meet. And once you've got a model, you've then got proof of, you know, I've been going on for this has been going on for like 6 months now. We've got 20 people turning up. We'd like X amount of money so that we can make it bigger and do it, you know, slightly bigger or in a slightly nicer venue, or do more in-depth talking. And you've just got to take it from there. But until they see something, funders now are very unlikely to actually give you anything until you've got, I don't know, you've got more experience with funding applications and stuff as well.
Yeah, because one of the things is risk. It's how much of a risk is it to invest the money in these people? Are they going to produce what they think, what they say they're going to produce? And so you've got to convince people that you're not just going to take 10 grand under a runner, or that you're not just going to take 10 grand and then dither for 6 months and not produce any work at the end of it, because they're getting pressure from the government, unfortunately, and they're getting increasing cuts. They want to see productivity. So I always say, don't oversell, you know, what you're going to do when you do propose things. Actually, if you can, undersell it so that when you do produce something and you produce more, it looks better, and then in future you get better things. But if you're untested and you haven't had money before, then the thing to do is to find someone who has had experience. So, for example, me and Afshan set up a young writers group, and in order to give us some kind of legitimacy, we partnered with Pete Kalu, who has obviously been doing Cultureword for decades. And it just looks like you've got, you're less risky then because you've got someone else who can help you. And actually, me and Afshan did everything pretty much ourselves, but having that extra person there who can say, I've got this experience, I'm on hand if anything goes wrong, is massively useful. Yeah, question to the back, yeah.
It was more of a comment really about the kind of readers and the writers who engage through digital. So in my work, I work in Newcastle and run a project called Cultureword City, and we're working with a school there with young people in quite a deprived area of Newcastle, and many of whom English isn't their first, second or even third language. And when we went into that school and we said we were going to do writing with them, they were really disengaged by that. But when we told them that we would make it into a film and we put it online and they could do what they want with it, basically, that became a bit more exciting. And then when we put one of their films online, that's now had 2,500 views, and I don't think they would have had that same audience if they had, well, I don't think they would have really engaged with it if we hadn't had that digital element, but I don't think they would have had as wide an audience, and for us that's really exciting because that's a whole other kind of writing group that wouldn't have engaged in that before, so that was just a kind of comment making.
And I think that's a really important point, is that writing is seen as being something that's really bookish and academic, and people think it reminds them of having to do the 3 hours or whatever at school, and you know, being forced to do your handwriting in between the lines and things like that, and that puts people off. But actually, there is so much more to writing, and I definitely agree with you.
It's like with theatre, for example, you ask kids, do you want to go to the theatre, and they just think of Shakespeare. And for a lot of people, you know, Shakespeare can be quite boring. So why would you want to go? You don't want to. You don't want to go see a play, because plays are, you know, usually older white people on stage telling you a story that's got nothing to do with you. And I think what the digital does, it allows you to hear stories from different places. So now you've got Tallow has done King Lear. They're now doing it online and film screening it online for free and stuff. So you know, you've got more of an audience there. People can see black people playing out Shakespeare, in a theatre setting. So you've already changed what theatre means to young people. I think that's what we have to be writing. Writing still is. I don't know what books you read when you were a kid, but it was mainly like we were forced. My mum, sorry in the back, it was like Jane Eyre, and you know, it was like this woman's got nothing to do with me. She's nothing like me at all. You know, it's difficult to read. It's hard words. It's like, why am I going to spend time reading this when I can read something else? So it's about changing that perception, I guess, as well.
I have a question at the back there.
Yeah, you mentioned we've got artsjob.co.uk, but what were the other two that you particularly mentioned?
I was talking about crowdfunding sites.
You mentioned crowdfunding,
Kickstarter, Indiegogo.
And then you mentioned cultural centre that you got some money from.
Oh, Cultureword. So the Commonwealth Cultureword, that's us. So we run, we're right and built the organisation. But if you were looking for match funding, or you wanted someone to help you take you through the process of an arts application, for example, a Grants for the Arts bid, or you were looking for some other arts application, we could help with
Grants
that.
for the arts.
Grants for the Arts, yeah. Grants for the Arts is the Arts Council one.
Yeah,
So you can apply, I think it's usually up to 12 or 15,000?
15.
15 for the first one, and then above that it's a separate form. But like I said, you go to most arts organisations and they'll have usually got a funding from somewhere. So either we're a national portfolio organisation, or you can get Grants for the Arts, which is sort of project based. But if you want more information about that, we will have something the Arts Council at some point today, so I'm sure I can find him and you can have a conversation. Or you can find us online as well. We do, we do whole sessions where we can talk to you through the stuff. People are finding it difficult to do. It's quite a different process, I guess, and it's quite a long process. I know people who have done arts application and have been successful. So, there's also them you can sort of find there or there in the corner. You can sort of find them and ask them, how do you do it? Give me all your tips. Let me have a look at your funding application. Let me have a look at the budget and so on.
And also, some places can't give you money, but they can give you support in kind, which is also really important. If you can get a venue to say, I'll give you a space for free, it's worth including that in your application, because it shows that you're being supported by that organisation in a way, and that you're getting help from people. And if other people are buying into your idea, then it makes it look like more of a legitimate idea. Yeah, got a question here.
You talked about democratisation of writing. I wonder about democratisation of reading, and how digital can support that. So if you've got young people trying to access books that are more diverse, what platforms are there that kind of is the new form of library? So if we look to the music industry, you've got Spotify or blah, but what are there kind of platforms?
I mean, Overdrive is kind of like the ebook thing for libraries. So if you go on Overdrive and you've got a library account, you can check out ebooks on Overdrive, which is really important. Evil Amazon do have something similar, where you sell your soul to them and then you can get a certain number of free books. What you do is your soul, I say.
Insta poetry though as well. So Insta poetry, which is is essentially Instagram works is in pictures. For those of you that don't know, and what you essentially do is just make the poetry into an image. So it's really short. Usually you've got a pretty colours in the background or a pretty picture, and then you just put that on. Sorry,
it's
just
more than just a pretty picture.
It's more than okay, yeah, but they're beautiful pictures of the sky, the trees, and blah blah blah. The important thing is that you've got the words and the poetry and the actual image. And that's how people like Ruby Court circulated her stuff as well.
I was going to also ask Samira and Bethany how you guys kind of read.
I'm a book girl through and through. If it's not in my hand, I'm just not interested. I don't know how people read on screens. I don't know. I just cannot do it. But and this is not me bragging, but this is just saying I've got 31,000 Twitter followers, and no, it really is really like this. I mean, it's going to sound really judgmental. God, I have to not. Oh, God. Well, okay. So I'm a journalist, right? And I cover literature and stuff, but I generally do cover events in the African continent, and it's unreal how all the followers have come up. Because something will happen, I don't know, the internet's been blocked in Ethiopia for 4 days. Boom, you just tweet, internet blocked Ethiopia for 4 days, Oromo protest still going on, people being killed. Everyone is on that. You tweet an article that you have, oh my God, killed yourself to write. You've lost sleep over, editors nagging the life out of you, and you're stressed, like, are you going to cut 10 words out of it and all of that? You get a few retweets. They'll read it, maybe they'll read it, maybe they'll retweet it because they just want to be like, make sure you follow me back. But you're not going to get the same love that you get. Like, my Twitter has come up because I report like that, not because they're like, oh, you're such an amazing writer, which I'm not, by the way. And I think that there's something in that. I'm not sure what it is, but I think we want quick.
Yeah, it's the thing about headlines, isn't it? Because people are reading the headlines, but they're not reading the articles. And I think that it's something like less than 40% of people read past the first paragraph in an article, because people just want the thing. So when you're saying really quick and concise, like, internet's gone down in Ethiopia or whatever, people can tweet that because they don't have to read it. Whereas when you've written a long, 1,000-word article that you've slaved away over, they look at that. I ain't got time for that.
That's how you sieve, though, I think. It's almost like, and one, you have to have the discipline to read, and then the other thing is that you sieve out people that genuinely do want to know. they'll click on. But Twitter doesn't seem like the platform for
It
articles
really
or anything
isn't.
like that.
Like, I just put up pictures on my
And
shoes.
it's too instant because you've got so much stuff coming, it's like bam, bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. So people are liking something or retweeting something, but they don't have the time to then go off and look for things and search things. Like it's just an instant like or you know.
That's a
whatever.
dangerous thing, you know. I really genuinely think, because you've got part of the information and you're creating this big narrative over it in your head. And the titles thing, so when I do the tweeting for writers of colour, so we've got this one article which is brown girls don't get eating disorders. People tweet back saying, yes they do. Like, bye. Like, I just have to log out at that. I'm like too much stupid today, actually.
Well, and apparently one of the drawbacks of the digital writing revolution, as it were, is that people are now reading less of the fewer of the things that they disagree with, and they're reading more things that confirm their own biases. So they're actually looking for things that they already wanted to read, rather than reading things and being challenged.
I mean, how far would Donald Trump have gone without the internet, guys? I don't know.
Just a quick point on that as a man. I think that one of the things I've found since using Twitter in 2000, I take your point about the big events, because why I really got into it was when the Iran Green movement started, and I just found that fascinating, that there was this whole thing going on, not just in Iran, but beyond that. So that is a very important point about when there are social movements, tap into those, and you will find people will, oh, I didn't know that person was a writer, you might find something from that. Second point was about trolling. It's one of the things that has not been spoken about this morning, but as a man, I've specifically gone out there to, you can't get these people, but you know, basically support women when they're being attacked, because it's just bullies, just, you know, horrible people out there. Unfortunately, sometimes women are women, but normally men are women.
One of the most difficult things about having a Twitter account and being, for me, a young South Asian woman who used to wear a headscarf and doesn't anymore, is that everybody has an opinion on when I did wear a headscarf and when I don't wear a headscarf. Everybody has something to say. It doesn't matter whether you have any interaction with people that are Muslim, people that aren't. It's why did you wear it? Why did you take it off? You shouldn't be wearing it. You should be wearing it. Or, you know, policing me. So it's you're right. It's difficult. Like, you know, there's a lot of, you're open to a lot of abuse. You're open to a lot of attacks that way. But I also see it as a way to, for me anyway, it's hardened me. I don't really respond to people anymore.
Do you engage?
I used to, and you'd be like, no, but blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, you know what, whatever. You have an issue with it, you go Google it, you know. There's been sometimes actually I've sent them Google links for, someone was saying that reverse racism, something about reverse racism, or I can't remember what it was, or sexism or something. So I just sent them a Google definition of what sexism or racism was, and left it to that because I just didn't want to engage. And you know, I've spent a lot of my life helping people understand and telling people and teaching people, but that's not my job. My job is a writer. And well, you know, aside from everything else I do, you know, it's not really, you know, to sit and educate people all the time. And I find it my job has become that, as well as, you know, writing beautiful poetry. You know, of course they're all beautiful. You know,
it's kind of like, that's why I took a step back. Like, it seems like I used to do more on social media maybe about 4 years ago, about 4 or 5. And then I was like, no, this is not, it's taking too much time, like even creatively, and it was just too much up here. And I took a step back. And now I don't really engage that much with things like that. I don't know about you both.
And it sucks your soul a little bit. And it gets really depressing when every time you post an article about a black person being shot in America, there's 50 white people jumping on and being like, well, he must have deserved it. And you just know you don't want to get into that argument again, and you're strategically having to unfollow threads and just block people because you're just like, can't deal with that crap yet again. And I think that's another reason why I've really withdrawn, because I used to be all over social media all the time, causing all the arguments because I was the one person who'd stand up and be like, actually, no, you're wrong, you know, you're being a pig or you're being whatever. But now just, I don't have that energy anymore. It is exhausting.
Just a little comment on what you just said. My mum said something to me because I was getting really, really upset. She said, don't wrestle with pigs, baby. Both get dirty, but the pig likes it.
It is really painful, and I know for me it often makes me anxious, like, especially with writers of colour, as the platforms got bigger and bigger. When we first started, we had a few thousand followers, we used to do Twitter chats, it was great. Now, boom, go on, tweet articles, retweet a few things, and come back off, because I cannot take the responses to some of those things. And as for my own Twitter, the mute button, be ruthless with the mute button and don't feed the trolls. Like,
I think I think we as well as an organisation and me as a writer, we have to make a decision on whether we allow freedom of speech versus sort of silencing or deleting the post and pretending it never existed and the person never came to us. A couple of years ago we did a Superheroes Islam, which is nine heats of poetry. One of them was an LGBT heat, one of them was a women's heat, and then the rest were sort of open to general public across the north. And the idea was that we weren't getting very many women that were competing or winning, and we weren't getting very many people from an LGBT background that were winning or competing. So we thought, okay, let's do this to try and tackle that issue. And we did, and of course everybody that had an issue with people that were queer and people that were women came at us with pitchforks and torches. And I started responding to them and explaining and deconstructing what they were saying, going, actually no, this is wrong, this really...
I remember this as
understand.
well, yeah.
And I was like, just stop, yeah, I remember, I was like, just stop responding. And then it's, if I stop responding, does that make me look weak? Does it make me look like I don't have an argument? Because I have my arguments, they're all like there, I can bring them forward to the fight, but
you
should
I?
I?
It makes you look like you don't have time for it. I don't have time for all this, I'm too busy.
And the thing is, they will have the same argument for every single time you do that. So, sorry, I had a question here as well.
Yeah, I was just asking that you just mentioned about that Farsi Urdu, Farsi Urdu. I am an Urdu writer, and we have got an organization which we are running for 6 years called Urdu and Punjabi Writers and Cultureword as well. But we are still finding hard to apply for the funding because we don't know the route.
What happens with stuff in other language at the moment in the UK is that you have to find evaluators in that language. So the reason why stuff in English is quite easy is because we can quality control the English because most of us speak English. Whereas with stuff like Urdu or Farsi and Punjabi, there's only a few people that, and to find this for people like the Arts Council, other funders find it quite difficult to find one person that can speak, well Urdu that can tell you objectively whether it's good or bad poetry. But then the question is, can you actually tell what good or bad poetry is anyway?
Like if we can have some sort of what you say, conference session where you can have somebody who can translate and can see that who can be published, who can be translated, so we can have a forum like that.
Well, one of the panels we've got later on is about translation. It's writing translation, which is I think it's 315. So I've definitely just done that, but it is something that needs to be addressed, the lack of stuff in other languages. I think digital is helping it. It's definitely helping. 250, not 15, sorry. It's definitely, the digital world is helping this whole idea of, poetry from Urdu. You have instant poetry, for example, in Urdu I've seen on Facebook. So, I've got family that retweet, that send me stuff on WhatsApp, that, and I can just about read Urdu. I can understand it quite well, but I can't read it very well. And, they'll send me all this stuff, and it's brilliant because it's like colourful pictures and, So, you're moving from this whole, people aren't giving us the money to, I have a phone, I have a computer, I can type, I'm going to do it myself. Or, I have a phone, she can do design work, Beth can do it for me. You're moving to sort of finding the people that can do it for yourselves because the funding isn't available. You're right, though, there is something that needs to be discussed.
Because the setback is that we are not mainstream in our own back home in country because we are living here. And we are not mainstream here because, as I said last time there was a poetry that I can't write in English because I can't read in English. My native language is Urdu and I can express myself if I'm writing the poetry only in my own language. But how to promote that and how to work for that, because I'm here, I'm not in Pakistan.
I know what you mean.
So we need to work on that here. Because
there are Shari events that happen throughout the north, particularly.
No, I myself do that because I'm running Yorkshire Rugby Forum and since 6 years we have been doing big events and we are funding ourselves by ourselves. Like we have got few of the annual members and we do all the things self-funding.
It's a shame that we have to go through that route.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be that people have to sort of self-finance their own thing.
We do.
Alright, so we've only got about 10 minutes left, so can we go to Maya at the back?
Yeah, so this kind of links into language, but I'm thinking about digital language. Somebody said to me the other day, what are you now? Are you a poet, live literature, or spoken word? And I said, well, I'm none of those. I'm an interactive theatre maker. And I think digital has changed. I would say some of the things that I'm making are not exactly literature anymore. So I just wondered if anybody else was like kind of making work and kind of experiencing that. And when I recently writer, you don't fit into any of those boxes, and then when you're doing digital work, you don't fit into any of those boxes, which is fine, you can be outside the box, but then the people who are funding you or booking you don't really know what you are, and then they don't book you because they're like, well, what are you? And if I'm booking you and selling you to different audiences, I don't know which press to contact because I don't really know what your kind of work is, and so I just wondered if anybody had any experience like that.
I mean, I would just cheat and present myself as different things for the different audience and say, well, actually, this is a writing thing, so today I'm a writer, and this is a publishing thing, tomorrow I'm a publisher, and this is a theatre thing, so I'm a theatre maker.
My old business card on the back of it, we won't talk about the front, on the back of it had a list of about, I think it was like 6 or 7 things that I did, and it was like website designer, ebook creator, writer, performer, blah, 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 and it just went on, and I was like, no, I'm going to take that off now and just have a blank thing so that when I meet someone, I'm like, oh, okay, you want an ebook bit? Oh, yeah, I'm an ebook designer. But just going back to what you were saying about what you call yourself, there's a tendency for the literature world to call BME poets spoken word artists and white poets poets. Performance artists. And it's to do with how they see quality and the differences, or perceived quality anyway. It's got nothing to do with the actual quality of work. But it's to do with, BME poets can't be poets, but they are spoken word artists and performance poets, which I think is quite an interesting distinction that people make. But I know artists that are like, no, I don't care, I'm just a poet, you can call me whatever you want, but I will be what it says on my...
I guess my thing is about trying to get people to come to your work who you think are like the audience, and when you're misunderstood by the people that are booking you, it's like difficult to get those people there. So yeah, I'm all for widening out the language and having our own language and
just having multiple identities. I think most of us in this room have multiple identities. We're not just one or the other, and I think it's about sort of kind of making those boxes and kind of ticking all of them and going, well, I am this, but I'm also this and I'm also this. And if you pay me enough, I'll do this as well. So just about diversifying that language, but also the skill set and kind of knowing what you're doing. So if you are on Twitter and you are pushing yourself and you are designing your own website, then maybe you need to call yourself something slightly different than just a writer.
But also, I think Maya's point is that obviously it's if the people who are booking you don't understand that you encompass different things, then that actually makes it harder to get the audience that you need. Yeah. And so in that case, I would say we need to find the people that do get what it is that you're doing to either be the bookers or people that are advocating for you, which is a hard thing. I'm not sure what the answer is for that really.
It's just to try and get more of all of you guys in those spaces. So, apply for the jobs that we're booking, apply for the jobs as publicists, hone that skill in and do it for everybody else. Because we need this.
Sorry, I was going to also say, you're changing the space as well. It's almost a good thing, almost like cheating to say, well, I'm doing theatre still, even to then you're not, because you are. It's like maybe it is an installation now, or it's something else. It's like going back to bookmaking, and it's no longer traditional bookmaking anymore. You're expanding what that is. But I'm still going to tip making a book, but it's like something else completely. So in that way, you still get people that are interested in the field, but open to something that's new and advancing and progressing.
Yeah,
I think.
And marketing is sometimes trying to fit square pegs in round holes, and sometimes you're forcing categories that don't really kind of fit. Julia, sorry, you did a question.
I just say to people when they ask me what kind of poet I am, I say, well, I'm a family poet. I'm the kind of poet that you can, my poetry you can read to your children, to your grandmother, to your grandfather, and that's what I say. And then they say, well, what is your poetry about? And I say, well, it's on a black theme. I am mixed race, but I've always classed myself as black. So I say to people, it's on a black theme, but it's all to do with family relations. It's nothing to do with somebody dating or something. And that seems to attract people to my work for some reason. But I've never thought of myself as spoken word because I never thought I was that good. And so
sorry, we had a question over here as well.
I was just wondering what your thoughts were on the usefulness of digital in terms of a lot of the conversations that we've had today around the movement of literature towards content. But also, I've also had conversations around how writing and literature and getting people to read stories about people who aren't like themselves increase empathy because you can put yourself in another person's shoes. However, when you pair that with digital, in terms of what you said about people finding things that confirm their bias already. Does writing in the digital space negate that? If people are only reading the things about that, are only reading the things that already confirm their worldview? Because obviously you had Dickens, like when you're doing serialization in a newspaper, everyone's reading it and they don't know what they're going to get and they're going to see another slice of life. But as the AME writers, if you're writing in a digital space, how do you reach beyond your tribe?
One of the problems publishing is facing is the fragmentation of the market, because everything's breaking up into kind of these super ultra niche kind of categories. So that is a problem, which is why when stuff goes on TV or whatever, that's why it's such a big deal when they do a little spotlight on something and it'll get really popular for a while. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm going to turn to the rest of my panelists and see if anybody else had any
Sometimes,
thoughts.
like someone mentioned earlier about when you're branding yourself, instead of relying on the digital space as a whole, like you yourself are that space. So if you're already promoting yourself and then people decide to check your name out, there is your work. I don't know, like we rely on platforms sometimes instead of doing both things. So as well as you having a place that connects you to other writers and that audience that's only specifically going to come because they're already attached to that brand. You've also got your own name out there and people are attracted to what you're writing, but it takes a long time basically to build that sort of following.
People do accidentally discover new things, and that's how you sometimes discover things that you weren't aware of, and that can be quite useful. It's obviously there's no foolproof plan with that though, because you can't just say, well, I'm just going to wait until everybody accidentally discovers it, because that's not how it's going to work.
Just to answer as well though, I don't think that it's people aren't reading work that's not like themselves. No, I don't. I'm just not going. I don't think it's that people are only reading work that's like themselves. I think it's that they're more likely to. So you're more likely to follow people with similar interests to yourself and similar beliefs with yourself, because it just makes life easier. I'm not going to follow Donald Trump unless I'm actually interested in trolling him. Or, that's what I do on Twitter. Or, writing an article about it. But I'm going to follow the people that I believe in, the people that I want to put my faith in, the people that I want to support. So, it goes back to that. But at the same time, people can retweet and can say whatever they want to. And I think sort of defining one person as that one thing is kind of dangerous. I think we're all multifaceted. We've got a lot of different aspects of ourselves. So while I might enjoy one thing about one person, I might not like another thing. So while I may hate Donald Trump, there might be another thing about him that I really enjoy.
Just about to run out of time, but we did have one more question over here, sorry.
I guess it's just a general statement about the whole idea of being put into certain boxes and things. Like personally, I think it kind of stems from school. I mean, that whole idea of, especially coming from London, like you're this, therefore you can only be this. So I can see why when it comes to filling out certain forms, that it's just kind of hard. So I think maybe it's up to us to kind of put the word out there and say, oh, hey, I might be, I don't know, Asian, but I'm into like death metal, and just putting that word out there.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you have to push against the boxes ourselves, because sometimes there will be this thing where they say, well, you guys tick the BAME box, and that's just going to be, our black artist for the evening is going to be this. And sometimes we have to say, all right, well, yeah, you're booking me, so I want you to, book me and pay me the money. But also push back against it and say, but I'm also these other things. So make sure that when you're promoting it, that you do mention, that it's not just the token black, whatever.
I think part of the big question that I've always seen is, do we create our own platforms as BAME, or are we trying to fit into or go into the, do I say wider, I don't know, but yeah, and I think that was the thing with Writers of Colour. It was, initially it started off as wanting to get writers of colour published in the mainstream, and then it's just become a platform on its own. I think that, and when we talk about branding of ourselves, we're very voyeuristic as a society, and when someone is trying to market their work, that is why I think we want to see who they are, what's going on, and what shoes they're wearing, what they're doing, who they're dating, and then, what's the work.
And I think like for the majority of us, I don't think we're doing it in the same way. We're not selfieing, you know what I mean? We're just putting work out. It's not, we're not, but we're not, it's not like this, there's a reason for it, there's a reason to this madness.
Yeah, there's a retweet.
Do you know what I mean? It's not,
On that note, actually, can I have a selfie with like everybody? Can we try? I'm going to remain on that. If anyone doesn't want to, you're welcome to look out. But I really just, I'm watch my phone die right now. I'm going to try and do this, and I'm going to fail.
Do you want me to take it off?